Just under a quarter of a century has passed since our country's momentous transition from minority rule to democracy. During that time, the crucial focus of government and civil society has inevitably been on addressing the destructive legacy of our apartheid and colonialist past. In this regard, important strides have undoubtedly been made. But on the other hand, no one can deny that in many ways, the high hopes that accompanied the democratic transition have not been realized, and that today, our country is facing very real challenges. Confronting and overcoming these challenges is not the responsibility of government alone. Rather, all South Africans have a duty to do whatever they can to make a positive difference. As a community, South African Jewry is faced with a choice. Will we engage and play a meaningful role in striving for solutions? Or will we choose instead to be passive onlookers? As a people, Jews are instructed to be a light unto the nations. Far from this signifying a sense of superiority on our part, it is in fact a call to action, a moral duty that we must all strive to live up to. We have a responsibility to do everything we can to contribute more than we consume, to give more than we take. Whether it in such practical fields as economic growth, education, job creation, or in the more abstract but equally important sphere of fostering a culture of democracy and equality. SA Jewry has much to contribute, and I am confident that as in years gone by, it will not be found wanting. We simply cannot be found wanting. I therefore take this opportunity, Mr. President, to pledge the unstinting commitment of the Jewish community to assist you wherever we can in addressing the problems facing our country and in making South Africa the success story we know it can be. However, here it is necessary to introduce a cautionary note. Abraham Lincoln's famous dictum that a house divided against itself cannot stand applies as much to South Africa in 2018 as it did to the United States in the 1850s. Ours continues to be a deeply divided society, and one of the most divisive factors is the prevalence of racism in the workplace, social media, schools, the political arena, and indeed in ordinary day-to-day interaction. It is particularly concerning that instead of setting an example by strenuously opposing these trends, numerous political leaders have increasingly been guilty of exacerbating the situation. The introduction of race and fear of the other into our political narrative is something that must be addressed as a matter of urgency, Mr. President. Because contrary to what we were all taught as children, that sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never harm me, the sad truth is that words matter. Vicky Momberg's words mattered. Adam Katsavalis' words matter. And so too do those of Tony Ehrenreich and Bongani Masuku, two leaders who we are pursuing throughout all legal avenues appropriate to us based on words that they spoke. Because words have consequences. Even when hateful statements do not lead to harmful acts, they serve to poison relations between different sectors of our population. And they seriously undermine the kind of unity and vision that is of critical importance to our countries overcoming the challenges that we face. The kind of unity that Nelson Mandela, whose centenary we are here celebrating tonight, recognized as essential and fought for. Please let me be clear. This does not mean shying away from confronting the very real issues pertaining to race. In particular, the tremendous socio-economic inequalities inherited from our apartheid past, but rather approaching them in a spirit of inclusion and mutual respect. By the same token, I urge our Jewish community to likewise adopt a zero-tolerance approach to all forms of racism. As a community, we reject racism, but that is not enough. It is what we do as individuals that will have far more consequence than what we ascribe to as a collective. What we teach our children about the other is what will ultimately define our success in this regard. Looking beyond our borders, an issue of much concern to our community is that of South Africa's relationship with Israel. Regrettably, this is coming under continual attack by certain hardline anti-Israel groupings whose aim is not to support peace efforts, but to boycott and isolate the Jewish state in every conceivable forum. The SAJBD strongly opposes the politics of boycott. Not only is it contrary to how we as South Africa manage our foreign affairs, but it generally will remove us from playing any form of meaningful role in the resolution of the conflict. We are encouraged, President Ramaphosa, by your recent statements reiterating government's continued support for a negotiated two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian question. As the South African Jewish Board of Deputies, we too are committed to a two-state solution. And in that regard, the Jewish community is ready and willing to assist in any way it can in this regard. I would like to conclude with a challenge to both the broader South African society and to the Jewish community. To the first, I say, you have a Jewish community here that is not only willing and able, but eager to help in whichever way possible to make our country a better place. And to the South African Jewish community, my challenge to you, to all of us, is that we stand up and become more a part of South African society, to be there in whichever way is needed to build our country into the country we believe it can and hopefully will become. Thank you.